And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Howdy folks, today we're going to be taking a look at the first of the second Summoners. Now, we like Summoner Wars, a little, as in a lot, as in one of the best games ever made. Summoner Wars comes with multiple factions. I think there's 14 factions, maybe there's more than that. I think there's 14 factions. But each of those factions had a summoner with an army. And then they added reinforcements so you could kind of customize your army, but you still had your summoner. Now there is a second summoner who you can use instead of the first one. 4 of these summoners have been released, so we're about to show you them in groups of 2. Today we're talking about the Phoenix Elves and the
Cave Goblin units.
Cave Goblins. Let's take a look and we'll be back. Before we get into the armies, each of these second summoners is another summoner, like I said, for another army. You're able to take this summoner, and each summoner comes with their own set of event cards. So you would use these event cards with that summoner and anything else. Like, for example, the Queen here gets some conjuration cards. And everything else is the same, except you have your starting unit. So you can mix them with cards that are already in the game for their type, or even with mercenaries and such. But they have their own set of event cards, so they will play very differently. And she has her own power. So let's take a look here at Queen Maldaria. At the end of her turn, she can choose 2 common units and bring them back next to her. That's a good protection type thing. I'm more interested in her common units. She is one of the more powerful common units in the game. The Fire Dancer is basically, if you attack the Fire Dancer and you miss, those misses come back on you as hits. She's weak, but very good to run up into groups of people because they're almost afraid to attack her. The Fire Archer is the same as the Swordsman from the first one, where they have this precise, where they just hit. So they do 1 damage range. Very useful, guys. And I'm very much looking forward to putting them together with the precise units from the first deck. The Firelings will pursue. If you're next to them and you move away, they'll chase you down and maybe do a wound. Then we have the Passion of the Phoenix. Any unit that you have that has the precise ability gets +1 attack, which is a fantastic thing if you can pull that card off at the right time. And then you can search for cards from your deck to some of the Firelings and Firehounds. You can take a wall and make that wall shoot lava next to it. It takes 1 damage, but so does everyone next to it, which, when your opponents know that's in your deck, makes them fear that you have that ability in your deck. Also, there's another card, Conjure Phoenixes. Now this deck has a new conjuration card, the Phoenixes. These are not in your deck initially. They're placed near your deck, and it will allow you to bring these out. Now, Phoenixes aren't very powerful. They're kind of weak, but they're free. You just bring them out with this conjuration, and they can appear next to her. So it might make the Queen attack worthy to run out. Meanwhile, we have the Duke, which is a champion, and he's precise. So that card that gives +1 die can very much be useful for him. This guy, Kerberos, is one of my favorite new champions because he is 3 attack, but if there's no cards in a draw pile, he's 4. So he's one of those folks that I might save in my hand and deliberately put out near the end of a battle. When time is critical, having a guy who does 4 attack with 6 health is, well, game winning, really. And then I just love her special ability. I don't think she's the first person to have it, but if you attack her, if she's not destroyed, then you take a wound. So that's a nice addition. All in all, a good army for the Phoenix Elves. For the Cave Goblins, we have Mr. Frick. I'm sorry. I just think that his name is going to lead to a lot of things about his army, but he's the leader of the Horde. At the end of his turn, he can attack with anybody in his army who has a cost of 0. And there are several Cave Goblins who have a cost of 0, and so you'll be certainly thinking about bringing some of those other ones back in your deck. The ones he starts with aren't as powerful. The Runts, they're puny. They don't block range attacks, so you can shoot over them, but remember, so can your opponent shoot back. And then the Clinger. The Clinger kind of, when someone else moves and they're next to the Clinger, he moves into their spot. Other than that, the Clinger can't move, so he clings with someone. Then we have the Oaf, which is just a tough, powerful guy. And if there's 2 wound markers on him, he does an extra 2 attacks. So again, your enemy is kind of afraid to hit him. But those are really the only 3 new units, but it's his cards that are special. The Hordes of Rabble lets you move all your common units 1 space, and then you can attack with up to 6 of them. That's amazing! Amazing! Okay? Then you have Join the Horde, where you can take 2 common units and put them out for free, which is not so amazing if you're using a lot of 0 characters, but if you have a couple oafs in your hand or other characters from the other sets, that's a big deal. And then one of my favorite event cards in the game is Throw Rocks, where basically you can take all your common units that have a sword symbol and it gives them the bow symbol, or the ones that already have a bow symbol and gives them +1 attack. Either way, this is a very useful thing and can be very powerful. And that's the whole focus of his thing is he just brings out the small units and then they overwhelm you like the Horde. He does a big unit here though, the Feeder. The Feeder, if your own units die near the Feeder, he stacks them underneath him and adds 1 to his attack value. So you actually hope your units die when he's around. And then Dibs, if he gets +1 against and from champions. But he's ranged, so that's very useful. And then Smeeg, who I think is the only champion who's free. Look at that, he's free and he's ranged. Okay, big deal. But at the end of your turn, you have to pay a magic point to keep him alive. So, I mean, if you only need a guy for a turn or 2, a cost of 2 to put him out. But, I mean, initially, just getting him out on the board is another useful ability to have. All right, so the Phoenix Elves and the Cave Goblins. Now, I don't think that there's any kind of power creep in this, where these are so much better than the first ones, but I do think they feel different than the first ones. The Goblin one is a little close. The first Goblins was get out on the board as fast as you can. They looked weak, but you could beat people up. These you can get out on the board even faster, I think, with this one, but then they are even weaker, so that balances out. This is the Horde. This here, the Phoenix Elves, well, you talk about them, because you like them.
Yeah, I really like these because I liked how the fire archers could just do damage without having to roll.
Yes, great unit. And then there's that special, then one of the champions can do the same thing. What do you think about summoning the Phoenixes?
I didn't really get to actually put out the Phoenix when I got to play these because I got the card at like the end of the game. But it looked really cool how they could fly around and help other people fight.
Well, I was able to summon the Phoenixes, and I didn't think it was spectacular when doing it, but it does add some. But I really like the champions in this Phoenix deck, the ability to hit back and just the common units, and I'm really looking forward to mixing this with the original Phoenix deck. So of these two, which one is better?
I like the
Phoenix Elves. Okay, of the 4 different sets, the other 2 I actually like better than these 2. But I think all 4 of them are fantastic. But this Cave Goblins, I was someone who liked the Cave Goblins, but I'm going to be using them a lot more with the second summoner because he just fits my style more. Anyway, another A+ effort, in my opinion, from Plaid Hat Games. You?
I love Summoner Wars, and especially the new summoners.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Ah, shut the door!